Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, from all over the world, actually. And we have a little bit of, we would like to hear about more. And there's some Q&As, questions that might come. And the thing is that we would like to start with some Q&As. Okay, so I'm not getting any questions, so let's start, and I will do it. Let's start with actually with Daniel. Daniel is a colleague of mine, and Daniel, and I understand that there's a lot of issue. Let's call it this way. Why you should work with companies, especially like Advantech? What is the difference between Advantech and their competitors? As you says, she's the #1 in the world in industrial PCs or embedded PC for medical devices.
Can you hear me, Oded?
Yes, I do.
Good. Please. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the question. Well, in general, when we are talking about designing the medical system, designing and developing the medical system, we should take into account that the system generally based on very wide range of requirements from customer side, and we should understand that the ability of the customer to meet the strong regulation and standards requires high-skilled multidisciplinary engineering staff. It's one of the added value of the big company like Advantech. And with the new generation of embedded PCs, we can actually support the engineering effort and in terms of both software and hardware, and significantly reduce the time to market by accelerating the development stage, and obviously providing the better after-sales support. That's in general the huge advantage of a company like Advantech.
Okay, and I got another question for Mr. Penzes regarding your platform, which is very easy. It was very nice to see how easy it is to build an application with your solution. And is it really that easy to do? Meaning that you just have to build the application on your screens and that's it? Is that easy, or we need your help in order to develop an application?
Our help are to what I demonstrate today is how to do the design of the user interfaces. But in the software programs, you have a lot of sensor to connect. You have a lot of things to do, and that's things that need to be done by the developer afterwards. So all the design part can be done like I have done it on my sessions. That's the big advantage of Qt, to provide some nice tool to be able to generate some code directly instead of typing it by yourself. So it's really easy for designers to be able to do their user interfaces. So yeah, that's the first part, I will say, of the software development. Afterwards, you need to provide this, and you can provide directly this code to a developer, and he will be able to build the application on top of that instead of restarting from the beginning. So that's the big advantages. You gain a lot of time when you are developing your applications, because designers are at the end totally responsible of their user interfaces.
Okay, and what about the management? And we know that in design, and especially on the design in the medical devices, you should track. I mean, by law, you should track your developing. I mean, does your application or software or package or platform help to save those revisions?
Yeah, there is something that it's really useful in the developers. That is subversions controls like SVN or Git, and Qt integrate these kind of tools where you can manage multiple versions of your files and of your versions of your softwares. So there is, yes, some way to do it, I will say, easily with Qt and the tools that we support.
This is another question for Emmanuel. Is that work done by a design studio, or just any developer can work on your application again?
Any developer can work. Actually, Qt is a developer framework first, I will say. We extend the usage because we are really well known for the user interfaces. We provided user interfaces to, I will say, many of the top medical industry, but not only. We provide it also to automotive, to automation. So we are really in all kind of industry where there is a screens, you can have Qt behind. So it's a really huge framework, hugely used also in the community, in the developer. So it's first a developer framework, and as it's a lot used in for its UI part, you have you can now easily have our technology be adopted by designers. It's what we try to provide now.
Okay. And the question for the battery guy, I was also improved with Mr. Pasero, isn't it?
That's right.
Now, I just received a question about how long your battery, the small or the tiny batteries are last. It depends on how many interaction you had with the battery. Could you please elaborate?
Of course. So these are actually long cycle life batteries, even though they're very small. We integrate them in next generation devices with ultra low power requirements, so that fits well. I know those batteries can last thousands of cycles, and you're right, it depends on the use case. So if the use case is for an implantable device that can be recharged every week or every month, then over the life of the implant, which is 10 years or plus, then you've got hundreds of cycles. But if you can, if your patient can tolerate more charges, say every day, then that becomes thousands of cycles use case, and so we can fit that. It depends on the use case and depends on how much of the battery capacity is used every day, I guess. So that's why we talk to the product designers very early on, because the battery is very important to them. We need to build that within their circuitry.
And another question is coming: is it doesn't hurt it's installing the implant itself? This is what been asked to ask you.
Yeah. So the intended use of those batteries at this stage of our development, one of our market, really the fit, the alignment is for implanted device of so-called next generation. So these are product designers that are really looking at new electronics, ultra low power electronics, and miniaturization, all that together in devices that now needs to go inside the lungs, inside the heart, be inserted in the body through arteries. So we're talking millimeter size devices. Now, these are the type of application we're working towards. Now we are communicating with our customers at the early stage, because right now we can support them with prototyping and customization. We still got about a year and a half, 2 years of full reliability and scaling up our pilot line for high volume. But you all know here, medtech product design takes some years, so we can support them in certification. We have a customer putting the batteries in animals next year. So this is where we are.
Mr. Kelley, what is your I got a general question for you, and maybe can been answered by all of us. But eventually, Mr. Kelley, is that artificial intelligence is part of what you are doing at the moment, or is just you are looking at to develop on this route? I'm sorry.
I'll try to answer that, and certainly have other members also answer that as well, because I think we're all at some level involved or interested in supporting or developing artificial intelligence. And I guess it goes the whole spectrum of is it simply an algorithm that's learning, right? Whether that's a heartbeat or an abnormal arrhythmia or something of that nature, or a blood pressure monitor that's trying to extrapolate, a pre-cardiac, event or something of that nature. And so I think we're all at some level interested in developing, engaged in some form or fashion, right, of looking at ways to predict particular health events. And so, yes, I think we are interested in that and in actively developing some technologies around that. Yes.
Good, very well. And Mr. Gurevich, Daniel, anything to add about this artificial, or what else you are working on with Advantech in this matter?
Sorry, that I would appreciate if you could elaborate on your question. Sorry, I was just trying to.
I got questions regarding artificial intelligence and more analysis. I understand that this comes from more analysis about system analysis and how you work with artificial intelligence with Advantech. If you can elaborate.
Yes, of course. Advantech have a lot of platforms to work with the assignments and projects in this field. We have several demo case and working projects. We have a very strong platform and integration with Intel and NVIDIA for AI processing, both high-end cards and small PCI models. Also in all the success keys, the success stories that we saw in the presentation, you saw one of the projects that works in the medical field that actually proceeding the image of the oral area. And they are using very strong AI algorithm, which is based on
this is part of what Advantech is doing, not just hardware, also software.
Yes, indeed, of course, we are doing many integrations. There's two parts. The first part is the integration of very common software in this field with Advantech hardware. And also there are several unique applications that allows our user to fast bring up the final solution in the field of application of artificial intelligence, including medical areas, including security and communication, the face recognition and license plates and image processing, all of the areas of AI that currently supported can be easily implemented on the Advantech base.
Okay, Mr. Von, and the last question is to Mr. Van Keulen, and really, if you can summarize this session in one sentence, and what do you see, and what is the challenges of the designer at the medical device market as your perspective? And let's finish with everyone say one sentence about it, and we will, because we have to end this session. Please, Mr. Van Keulen.
The main challenge for a designer in the healthcare and medical market is to have a good interview with the customer, to get the complete story. And then you are able to do a good design if you have all the requirements together. So for people who are interested we have summarized guidelines, design guidelines available on request, and you can send your request to webinar@nelipak.com, and you will get a summarized overview of our presentation today.
Okay, Jim, same question. What is the big challenges on your side, and how do you, for these designers at the medical device market?
Yes, I think I have a similar answer to Marc. It's all about understanding what the requirements are, whether that be the clinical requirements. Oftentimes, you know, a really sound understanding of clinically what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? And then the device requirements can be driven from that. And I think oftentimes we see not a complete understanding of what the clinical requirements are and what it is that the device is really clinically supposed to do, not mechanically or electrically, right? That's all kind of secondary, but actually look at clinically, and that means anatomical and understanding anatomical variations, and how that impacts your device design.
Okay, I think that in my perspective, and I will elaborate, I think also the market challenge or the market needs are also crucial to what you are doing, not just the clinical issues, but also is the market is really there for you to sell your products. Emmanuel, please, no, Denis.
Sorry, I'd say I absolutely agree with you. It's a combination of both of those. Sorry, yep, go ahead.
Yep. And Denis, if you may, same question.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. I mean, I can give the same answer in a different way, but you know, in terms of hardware, I'm a product designer. Understanding the use case terrifically, that's very important. Don't leave the batteries until last. You'll struggle to find something off the shelf.
Okay, Mr. Penzes, please.
Yeah, well, I think on our side, I am more on the software part. And the big problem for designer on the software part is this capability of being able to test on the real hardware, actually. Because they will do their design on their PC, they will check the design on their PC. And in the normal world, I would say without Qt, you need to wait that the developers do and develop directly the full software to be able to test it. Now with Qt and Qt Design Studio, you can directly check the results on the end devices. And also with Qt, we offer also something else that it's quite important in your design. For example, we have more and more touch screens nowadays on all those devices. And there is some important information that can be displayed at some points. And what will afraid every nurse, every doctor is to get a full black screen without any information about what's happened to the patient. So we have also some pieces of code and we have some libraries that give you this capability of ensuring that there is always the minimal information display whenever what happened to your devices. So there is those kind of things that are quite also important in the medical.
And Daniel, what do you say about it? I mean,
I want to be creative and think about some different aspects that never mentioned there. But no, I agree with all the participants. We need to better understand. I mean, the main goal in the design of such system is to fully understand customer requirements. You know, today's challenge is that it seems like very similar applications, but eventually they requires different level of implementation or different level of deep components integration, and eventually the goal is to provide the best solution based on real customer requirements. Yeah.
okay, and I'm curious to know from all of you if the new period of this and this all new area of the COVID-19 and all this change anything in our businesses or in our on the medical device market, if you think? Jim, let's do a round here.
Yeah, sure. I'll say I think it has slowed some products to market as a result of folks not being able to get into the clinic to actually do their design validation activities. But I also think it's created new opportunities for companies who are interested in outsourcing, right? That may not have been before. And I think the speed to market is essential. Yeah, I think both of those things I think are emerging or are actually upon us. Both of those.
Mr. Van Keulen?
Our business has slowed down, and I think we optimize communication by having these kind of conversations. So a lot of Teams and Zoom meetings, and that was optimizing our customer contacts and upgrading design contact by sketching on demand during the meeting. And it's very welcome, and we will proceed with that after we have struggled with COVID-19.
Okay, Denis?
Yeah, well, I think that the COVID pandemic has come at the back of another crisis, the opioid crisis in the US. And I think this has just reinforced a trend, the way we see it, from giving medicine to solve various conditions to medical devices.
The critical elements of the design have changed due to this period, or it just remain basic, or are we learning something new that we can share with our customers? That hearing, you understand? I mean, because we are the manufacturers, we are coming here to bring knowledge to the designers, but still not to bring knowledge, but to have a value. And do you think it's something changed, or we are still on the same track?
I think this is accelerating. We talk to the surgeon, we talk to the practitioners, the medical guys. They've pretty much got it all sorted at the medical level. They know what to do to reduce pain to 9 to 1, but they're really lacking the hardware, and it's critical now. So we need to help them.
Emmanuel, please.
I think it pushed a lot also the innovation part. Actually, we are in a critical time where we need to go fast to be able to heal everybody. So the innovation needs to go fast, and we need to go faster during this pandemic. And also it proves also for a lot of companies that we can work from home, and there is also a new way of working. It's not always easy, but it brings some new way of working and working differently for the best and for some other thing. But yeah, I am more in the software now, in the hardware, so it's much easier for me to work from home than from those people that are working with hardware.
Okay. Daniel, let's end with your what you could share.
We divide it into two parts: the bad part and the good part. The bad part is that we actually work in the same company but sitting in different places. Okay, that's the bad part. The good part is that in general, we're actually seeing pretty nice activity among our customers. I want to hope that in general the activity of the market, or at least the design development market, not really decreased, in some point even increased, assuming everybody's trying to develop some panacea to overpower the pandemic. But I want to summarize that I really hope that this mess will be finished very soon.
Yeah.
And people sit in the same place, in the same room.
We had enough from this COVID, and I think really that this COVID brought us to be more, let's say, creative and more and find I mean, we find a lot of new opportunities. Maybe they are not so, let's say, mature to become, but there's so many new ideas, and I think that the future after we will find the immunity. I mean, things will go better. Let's be optimistic, all of us, huh? Let's do it this way.
Absolutely.
Very well. Okay, so again, thank you so much, all of you, for spending the time with us today.